Hello everyone, this is Marshall Official, and yes, I am in fact finally back. Listen, I know I told you guys that after the election I was gonna make you guys a video on the election and how the election played out. I did not make that video. Why? Because you guys fell a whole 2 subscribers short of the 1,000 subscribers goal, and so because of that video did not end up happening. Listen, I'm gonna leave it to a vote if you guys still want me to make that video, because obviously the election was quite a while ago at this point. It was 2 months ago, and we are now past inauguration day, so Trump is now the president. And so because of that, and I'm sure you guys already have watched all the videos from like the other channels like Election Time, who have made their videos explain the election, what were the results. So if you guys still want to see that video, I will put it to a vote. If you guys don't, then obviously I won't, because you guys might not even want that video, because you guys already know. So if you guys want it, I'll leave it to a vote. Moving on from that, this is just going to be an update on all the changes that the Russian and the Ukrainian forces had on the front line. We're going to start up here. Oh, and by the way, there's a video coming out. I did, in fact, me and Jim4123, shout out to him, a friend of mine, and who has his own channel. We made a video. That video will be coming out tomorrow. It is not it's not a usual video. It's just us playing a game, but you'll see it if you guys want to watch that. I should also explain, obviously that the election is now over. I can't make videos on that. So when it comes to explaining real world events, this is pretty much it. Like, it's going to be videos on Ukraine, and if something else happens that's big, I'll make a video on that to the best of my abilities. I can't make, really animated videos like, I don't know, what's his name, Armchair Historian. That's just beyond my abilities at this point. So really, it's going to be videos like this, but that's whatever, you get the point. But then, so it's going to be videos on Ukraine, and if I can, I'll start making, maybe if I don't have an idea, if I just don't know what to make, like if there's nothing for me to do at the point, I might just throw like a gaming video here and there, something like that. Or videos like Jim4123 or my other friends, something like that. I'll just throw that in there. That'll be the future of this channel. Ukraine mainly, major events whenever something happens. And I do want to start making some history videos. I'm trying to figure out a way to do that, within my ability. So I was considering like something like on the Titanic maybe. So I'll try and put that together. That's obviously gonna be like a multi-day, maybe multi-week project, but this intro has been way too long already, but you get the point. That's the future of this channel, because now the election's over, so that we're done making videos on that. That's what this channel is going to be, probably looking forward. So anyways, let's get back. Let's just go ahead and get into this map update now. Let's go ahead and start up here with the Kursk region. So these are all the changes that Russia has made, and Russia and Ukraine have made between this video and my last video that I made on Ukraine, which that was 2 months. So this is basically like a 2-month update. What has changed in the last 2 months on the front line? We're just going to be focusing on the front line. That's it. So here on the front line, okay, so here in Kursk region, so up here in the north, Russian forces have made significant advancements. They captured these villages here, and they've also been able to push and start to congest the Ukrainians along this line of villages from Malaya Loknia up to Orlovka. These line of villages are now being contested by the Russian forces. They've also advanced here to the northeast and to the north directly, capturing Marivka. They've also captured these 2 villages here. We captured Ruskaya Porishno. This was a very hotly contested village for some time. The Ukrainians launched their own counterattack and captured some ground here. They tried to push in these villages here. They've been able to expand the gray zone, but it's not under their control. The Ukrainians had a pretty substantial push in this area, but their push was eventually stopped. At the same time, Russian forces have been advancing here to the east, or the northeast of Suja, capturing some ground here, some tree lines. No villages, but they have advanced there. In the south, they have advanced pretty significantly as well, capturing Plukhovo. They've also been able to push and capture a little bit of an area here, not much, but a part of the Ukrainian Sumy Oblast. It's not huge, but it is there. So the Russian forces do hold a little piece of the Sumy Oblast. Not a big deal though. It's nothing, not like a major push into Sumy, but they are pushing towards Suja and trying to get behind it. We can probably expect the Russian forces to push and capture the villages and the forest in this area to try and capture something, let's say something similar to this. Capture this area. And if we zoom out and look at the bigger picture, you can see the Russian forces are trying to squeeze the Ukrainians out of this area right here. They are trying to push the Ukrainians back from their counterattack points right here, and obviously hold the line there. There is a push towards the R200 highway right there, and the main pushes are coming from the northeast in this general direction, and coming from the southeast to get behind Suja, to capture this area and then take Suja. That's the Russia strategy for the Kursk region. The Kursk region is one of the hot points for Russia at this point because they do not want the Ukrainians to have any land whatsoever on Russian territory. Of course, this is one of the hot points. I would say there's at this point three major areas. We'll get to the big one obviously, but this is one of the three main areas Russia is concerned with. Moving on from that, we actually do shockingly have a change over here on the front line in Kharkiv. Russian forces made a minor attack and captured a part of TK, which is the first time they've entered that village in a little while. This front remains, however, just totally dead. This front is honestly kind of forgettable that it even exists. We know the Russian forces had pushed into this region in May of last year. They tried to capture the villages of Volchansk and Lipsy, which had they been able to, would have opened the way for a push towards Kharkiv and the much wider open areas over here to the east, but it just didn't happen. The Russian forces were stopped in Volchansk and they were stopped in Lipsy, and it's basically been a total stalemate. And I'm not even sure how many forces are even in this area because it's been, again, this front has been basically completely silent for, I would say, about 6 months now. So close to 6 months, this front has been totally forgotten. But moving on from that, we do have significant changes here in the Liman Pershi area and overall on the Kupiansk front. Russian forces have been able to actually cross the Oskil River and establish a solid bridgehead over the river. They're about to capture the entire pretty large village. It's a big deal of Dorichna. So this is not a small village. You zoom it out. This is the village right here, basically. So that's not small. That's pretty big. You can zoom out. It's not a city, but it's a big village. And the Russian forces are getting pretty close to capturing the whole thing. They captured more than half of it. If they do manage to capture the whole thing, then that will give them a solid area, a solid base on the west of the Oskil River for the first time since they were pushed back over it. So it's for the very first time since the Russian forces were pushed over the Oskil River, they have managed to completely push back over it. Well, not completely, but you know what I mean. They pushed back over it, and once they finish the capture of Dorichny, they will have a solid base on the western side of the Oskil River for the first time since 2022. Further south, they did temporarily over the last 2 months. They pushed actually into Kupiansk about here. They had pushed right about to this part of Kupiansk. They were pushed back, but they did overall advance on this front line, capturing the forest and ending the battle for this forested area. They captured more parts of Petropavlivka. May have remembered in my previous video, that was 2 months ago, that they captured this area, and they are trying to push further to Petropavlivka to try and capture overall the whole village, but in this area as a whole. Moving on from that, no changes from the rest of this bulge area. The Ukrainians still hold the defenses there, but they are of course under threat, and mainly because the Russian forces are bypassing Kupiansk and pushing right across the river. And they pushed across once, got pushed back. Now they came back, and this time they have brought enough forces to sustain it. And then it's been about a couple weeks now. A couple weeks they've been on the left side of the Oskil, and they have not been pushed back yet. So it's clear that they intend to stay there if they can. Moving on from that, we have pretty significant changes here to the south. Russian forces have captured and completed the capture of Krylakivka. They've pushed north into Kolesnivka and captured most of it. They've also pushed and captured the majority. Well, I would say almost the entirety of Zarizone. And overall, they've also captured the village of Lazovo. Not a lot of villages here, but again, that's a big chunk of ground. You zoom it out. That's significant. You can see right there, that's a pretty significant chunk of ground they've captured the last 2 months. Russia's rate of advancement over the last 2 months has been pretty significant. It's been going a lot faster than it has been anytime before this. You have to go back to the very beginning of the war to find faster changes in the front line in favor of the Russians. For the Ukrainians, you have to go back to their Kharkiv counteroffensive. We've not seen changes this fast since then. Here in Stepi, they captured the Stepi and Kopanki. So I don't know how to pronounce that. Kopanki. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce that. Captured Nadia, which is this even a village? What is this? 1, 2, 3 buildings, something like that. 4 buildings. So, but point is, it was captured by the Russians. Moving here to the south, they've captured most of. Is this even a village? There's 1 building. So they've captured the building who's known as Navi Harivka. That was captured. They also captured just a small strip of ground here, moving all the way down to this forest patch. They captured this area here. Overall, the Ukrainians are running low on territory in Luhansk. It's been low for since the start of this war, but they only really have this piece and this piece. That's all that's left of the Luhansk Oblast. There's also this chunk right here in the Serebrentsky Forest, and I'm not expecting any changes to happen in the Serebrentsky Forest for basically for a long time. It's gonna be, unless Russian forces can get major pushes over here and down here, the Russian forces will likely not try to push Ukrainians out of this fort. This front has basically not moved whatsoever in over 2 years now. And the Serebrentsky fort, it's just a very defendable position, so Ukrainians have just been able to hold on to that. But moving over further north, Russian forces have also been able to make a significant river crossing. They have crossed over the river and captured Ivanivka as well as Ternay and pushed west towards capture the heights overlooking the area. They are on the brink, or I should say, they're at the gates of these two villages right here, and well, this one as well. Oh, I should say this one too. So 4 villages. They're on the brink. They're at the gates of. They can capture these 4 areas. They'll be able to push. They will be able to push to the west and south to get behind Zarichny and Turetsky and possibly capture them. Russian forces have been trying for a long time to push into Turetsky directly from this direction. It just has not worked. The Ukrainians have pushed them back every single time. Russian forces have finally changed their objectives to the north and pushed over this way. They also captured some ground here, moving towards Yampolivka. This area has been a front line for a very long time, but it looks like the Russian forces are finally starting to be able to break this front line just slightly. Remember, these advancements are not necessarily recent. They're recent, sort of, but remember, this is 2 months. This is 2 months of changes. Remember that. 2 months. So it took 2 months for Russian forces to achieve this. Moving further south over here, we do have a Ukrainian advancement right here in Verkhnyo-Kamyansky. They pushed Russian forces out of the village of Verkhnyo-Kamyansky. At the same time, Russian forces were able to capture Ivano-Darivka, but they lost Vimka. The Ukrainian forces do not hold it, but it's a gray zone. This village is in the gray zone. Russian forces were able to capture some ground over here along these tree lines. Again, the big one is the push in and around Ivano-Darivka. Overall, the Seversk front, however, from the Serebrentsky Forest down to Fedorivka, this front has remained Ukraine's best defended position for ever since 2022, pretty much. Ever since 2022, this front line has basically not moved whatsoever, and the Russian forces are still just barely inside of Bilohorivka, or barely captured, I should say, barely captured Bilohorivka, which was held by the Ukrainians for a very long time. But overall, this front line is probably changed the least in this war. This front line has changed the least. The Ukrainian forces are doing this. The Ukrainian forces are having their most success on defending this area around Seversk. Russian forces don't even seem to be putting up a major effort on this part of the front line. It's just been easier to go for other areas. Moving on to the Chasiv Yar front line, we do have some changes. Russian forces are able to push into Orikovo-Vasilivka. This village was originally captured by Russia during the Battle of Bakhmut. They were pushed out of it. They have now re-entered it. They completed the capture of Hryhorivka. They also down here completed the capture of the canal line. So the whole canal is now under Russian control up to Hryhorivka. The big news is in Chasiv Yar itself. Russian forces have pushed into Chasiv Yar. They've captured around 40% of it. They've also pushed into the forest areas to the south here. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh no, okay, the canal. I thought this was the canal here. The canal's over here, but no. So the canal is under Russian control in the Chasiv Yar area. Russian forces pushed over the canal, capturing this forest right here. The Ukrainian forces had a counterattack down here. The Russian forces did capture this. Now the Ukrainians recaptured it. The Ukrainian forces recaptured this area right here in this forested area. Russian forces captured this, looks like a terracon right here, or some sort of mine. They captured that. Overall, the Chasiv Yar has not moved that much. Russian forces are putting some effort into Chasiv Yar, but overall, it looks like the Russian forces are not considering Chasiv Yar as a major front line for them. It really has. Otherwise, it would have been much stronger fighting for this area. And I'm sure it should be fought very heavily. Russian forces are clearly trying to take it, but they're not considering. This is not their main effort. It's not one of their main efforts, at least. If they take it, that's great, and they're trying to. But they're not going to dump resources into an all-out battle for Chasiv Yar. That's not what they're doing. They are, however, trying to take it, obviously. The Turets, this is big. In the city of Turets has basically almost totally fallen to the Russian forces. The only area remaining is this little like 2 city blocks down here. as well as this area up here to the north. But overall, the Tourette's conglomerate has basically totally fallen to the Russian forces. They captured the entire center of the city. This Terracon is in the gray zone. This Terracon has fallen to Russia, which is just like I said. Throughout the battle, they pretty much did what I said they were going to do. They pushed and captured the Terracon, which they didn't do the first time. They captured this area down here, but they were then pushed out of it, pretty much all the way back to here, all the way back to the forest, because they weren't able to capture this Terracon up here, but now they were able to, and then they recaptured the entirety of the southern district, and then they just captured the whole rest of the city, block by block. After the city center fell, there really wasn't much else that was truly defendable. The rest was all just like suburban area. And the Russian forces are very capable of fighting through suburban areas. At this point, the Tourette's conglomerate is basically under Russian control. Tourette's has effectively fallen to the Russian forces, and this is probably why they're not really trying for Chasiv Yar. And there's also I'll get to let me explain this first, then I'll explain probably their strategy. They've captured Vozdisenka. I definitely butchered that. They also captured part of this. I believe they might have captured the entirety of this, but that'll be on my next update. That'll be in the next one if that is true. But they have been able to basically reach the road that goes from Pokrovsk all the way up to Konstantinivka. They have not established control over this intersection, this area right here, but it doesn't matter. The Russian forces are, how close are they? They're 0.4 miles away. It doesn't matter. Russian forces have basically control over it. The Ukrainians cannot use this highway anymore. The Russian forces are just too close, and in fact, it's even in the gray zone, so they don't even control it. So no, the Ukrainian forces can know this highway has been cut off. Russian forces have cut this highway off. Ukrainians can no longer use this highway to transport troops back and forth between Pokrovsk and Konstantinivka. They will be forced to use the highway from Drzivka down to however you say that, and then go down to Pokrovsk. But anyways, I think Russian forces' strategy for central Donetsk at this point is to put pressure on Chasiv Yar. They're not really trying, but the pressure is there. That is one of the active fronts. Tourette's obviously at this point has basically fallen. They've also captured, I didn't really show, but they did capture a big chunk of ground here. Captured most of Leonidivka, except for this area right here. And they are pushing into this conglomerate, these two big villages of Novospassky and Sherebenivka. But overall, I think Russia's strategy at this point is to push and try to capture these highway intersections up here, as well as from this direction, which will force the Ukrainians to completely withdraw from this area, giving up this ground here to Russian forces, and this area will effectively fall under Russia's control. This area right here, which will also have to hit Konstantinivka from the rear as well. The big reason why Chasiv Yar is so important is because after Chasiv Yar comes Konstantinivka. But wait, the Russian forces are down here now. They might push from this direction. So that's why I think Russia's strategy is to take Konstantinivka from the Chasiv Yar direction, yes, but also from this direction, and even pushing to the west and then east from this direction. So for 3 or 4 directions is Russian forces plan to storm Konstantinivka. Okay, now we get to the big stuff. Look how big this is. So if I just zoom it way out, that's what Russia has captured in southern Donetsk over the last 2 months. That's basically 2.5 months of fighting right there. Is what Russia has managed to capture, and that's a lot. Again, you have not seen advancements like that in this whole war in that short period of time since the beginning. You have to go back. Let's break this down. So how far? So this is about a year of fighting from Avdiivka to where they are now. It's about a year. I would even argue it's been about, I would say 11 months, not even a year yet, because it's the 22nd of January. Avdiivka fell after, what was it, February? Fell in like late February. Well, when Avdiivka fell, that's when the push towards Pokrovsk really began. So it's been about 11 months of fighting. So, and this is just 2 months. So let's see here. It took the Russian forces were able to advance 23.8 miles in the first, let's say, it's been 2 months in the first 9 months. It took 9 months to go from here to this point right here. It took them 2 months to go from here to there. It's about 9 less miles. But you can see how the rate has clearly improved. It took 9 months to go 23, and then it took them 2 to go 14. That's obviously a lot more. If they go 14 every 2 months, that's gonna be way higher than 23 by the time you get to 9 month periods. So the point there is that obviously Russian forces have clearly increased rate of advance. They have managed to capture the city of Kharkov. Has totally fallen to the Russian forces. They're on the outskirts of Dachny, which is being encircled at the same time. This is all one area. This is all what Russia's captured over the last month on this front part of the front line. Uh, when I left temporarily, Volodar had just fallen. Now Russian forces are way over here at Andrivka. I was talking about Russia's goal was to push for Kurakove and Andrivka. Obviously, that's anybody could have seen that. But when I said that, Russia was back here. This is where Russia was when I was talking about their push for Andrivka. Now they're here, or well, now they're here really. But yeah, you get the point. They're here and they're there. That's how close they are to Andrivka when before they were here and down here when I was talking about this. So now, at this point, because of the fall of Karakove, we'll talk about Pokros in a second. Vlikhnevskoye is about to fall, actually. They've pushed all the way to way north of Vlikhnevskoye. They're all the way up here now. They've captured Vremivka. They've actually completely undone all of Ukraine's gains from the 2023 counteroffensive in Zaporizhia and southern Donetsk. They totally undid all of those gains. They took Makarivka, Bladotne, Starozhivi, Neskuchne, and Vremivka has all fallen to Russia, and they've begun to abandon Vlikhnevskoye. Last I heard, they've begun to leave. Ukrainian forces are abandoning Vlikhnevskoye, and Russian forces are beginning to push into it from all directions, mainly this direction. That's the main one I heard. They pushed up here up to the north and captured this town. I think they temporarily crossed the river and got to like here, but they were pushed back from that. But it doesn't matter because just look at the situation. It doesn't matter. But overall, they've captured Rozdolone, which is a decently sized village. But again, Kurakove has fallen. They've pushed and are about to finish off this pocket right here. This will all turn red very soon, and the front line will then sit here. At that point, and we look back on it, there's nothing. Like after let's cut Vlikhnevskoye out. This is the front line now, and this is the front line now. The only thing that really stands out as being a big target for the rest of southern Donetsk is Andrivka. That's it. After Andrivka, there's nothing else. Like Andrivka's it's not even a city. It's just a big town, and it's not even like congested. Like it's like pretty spread out. It's just a widespread town. So there's no cities, I don't think there's a place with high-rise buildings left. Like, no, that's it. This will be the end of southern Donetsk pretty soon. Vlikhnevskoye is the last one, and Drivka sort of. So no, let's talk about Pokrovsk now. So that's this area from Kurakove downward, and now let's talk about Pokrovsk. Russian forces, just like I said they would, and remember when I said this, they were here. This was the front line when I said this. They were going to try and push around Pokrovsk and capture all these villages here. And I said it was kind of a hard fight because it didn't really think they were advancing. That obviously eventually broke in that change. They pushed all the way out here and broke through the front line. They cut. I literally said, what did I say? Their plan was, after capturing Seldove, was to capture all these paths towards the Pokrovsk here, and capture all of them, and then push on Pokrovsk. Well, they now have done that. The only way so all the paths into Pokrovsk have been cut. They cut this one, not physically, but it's cut. It doesn't matter. This is effectively cut. There's this path. We got a railway here. This highway. This railway. This highway. This I think it's a railway. I'm not sure. There's a highway here. And there's a railway here. Russian forces have cut all this. They now have control over all of these paths into Pokrovsk. The only ones that are left under Ukrainian control that really matter is this highway right here, which is pretty safe. This highway is pretty much on the opposite side of the Russian, so this one is safe. But there's three of them here. There's a highway, there's a railway, and there's another highway. These ones are not safe. Russian forces are very close to those. And I should also mention, they captured Koteline, and they're pushing into Udachny. And also, if we pair that with their attack here, we can consider this. It's not just Pokrovsk, but it's kind of like 2/3 cities, Pokrovsk and Mirograd, and you could say Mykolaiv as well. Well, the Russian forces could be playing an encirclement, pushing up this way and west and this way to continue the encirclement from the west direction. They've already pushed from here all the way up to here. Why not continue it? So they would be up here. They would be up in this area. They would cut all of the ways into the city. So they would get to this area. They would get wait right there. They would get to this point. Now if we pair that with an attack from this direction, what the heck? What happened? Paired that with an attack from here. That's perfect. That would be an encirclement right there. That would be 11.6 miles from both directions, from this way and this way. That would be an encirclement. They would encircle all of Pokrovsk, Mirnograd, and Mykolaievka, basically. It wouldn't even matter. They can just cut these highways. It's encircled anyways. But Pokrovsk is on the verge of, well, not on the verge of falling, but the Battle of Pokrovsk is going to probably begin soon. The Russian forces have clearly been trying to cut off all the paths to the city. They may storm it directly, or they may just continue to push around the city. We will, of course, find out soon enough. But overall, just look at this. Just take into account that this was all under Ukrainian control 2 months ago, and now consider this. Here, the Russian forces are about to push into the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, and I mean when I say about to, I mean about to. They are at this point. They are just 3.3 miles from reaching the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. And that would be a major political win for Russia to push into the next oblast after Donetsk. And at this point, with Kharkov fallen and Vlykne about to fall, the next major objective for Russia on this part of the front line is not the next Donetsk city or the next Donetsk area. Again, Andreevka, sort of, not really. But it's just a wide town. But the next major objective for Russia on this part of the front line is this one. Is this one up here? Mezhova, and that is not in Donetsk. That is in the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. This is Russia's next target on this part of the front line. Pokrovsk will be the next target as well, which is still in Donetsk. After Pokrovsk, though, no, that's it. In fact, zooming out, that's it. Really, Pokrovsk is the last major city. Vlykne is about to fall. This is it. This will be the next target after Pokrovsk falls, and after this falls, and after this falls, Mezhova will be the next target. So that Russian forces are now beginning. Russian forces are at this point getting ready for their attack beyond Donetsk, and that is basically everything. I think there's one more thing. Wait, close this. Yeah, I got a little push down here after a botnet, captured some more ground. Again, basically just this is just totally undoing the Ukrainian gains they made in 2023, and not that big of a deal. Not a huge deal. But that's that. At that point, that is going to be it. So that's it, everyone. That is your update on Ukraine. That is everything Russia has done for the last 2 months. That is all the Russian and Ukrainian gains. I think there's only one Ukrainian gain, but you get the point. That is everything. So with that, thank you guys for watching. I will be back in the next video. I'm gonna finish putting that video together. That video I made with Jim4123. Get that out to you guys as well. Yeah, I told you what the future of this channel is probably gonna look like. Again, I'm sorry I had to be away for so long. But even if we had hit 1,000 subscribers, and I would have made that. I would have kept my promise. I would have made you guys that video. Again, I'm gonna put that to a vote. You guys still want me to make that, how the election happened or whatever, how it'll turn out. You guys already know that, but I will make that video if you guys want me to. Other than that, really, I think the big thing is just I was gonna have to take a break anyways. I would have made that video, but then I would have made that video then taking a break because life happens, things happened. I just had to take a break. I couldn't be on YouTube at the time. A lot of things going on. I was kind of going in and out of a period of time where I was busy, I wasn't. That hopefully is over now. It wasn't just busy, it was just, life, problems of life, whatever. Don't worry, I'm totally fine, don't worry about that. I'm just saying, I just saying YouTube I just couldn't focus on YouTube at the time. But I'm done with that, it's over, I am back. That's all that matters, guys. I am back. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.